Ladies and gentlemen and non-binary specimens, your ceremony master has arrived. Yes, it's me, Victoria Winters, back with another reaction video. So, what are we reacting to today? You probably already know. You've read the video title. And what we are going to be... Every time, I just can't talk. We're going to be reacting to the beginning of the end. Trials of Twilight, the 2025 Season 3 cinematic of League of Legends. For those of you who don't know, I am a giant League of Legends nerd. I don't play the game too much. I do on occasions, but I love the lore. The juicy lore. So much lore. So much good lore. The cinematics are unbelievable. That's actually what got me into League of Legends, is their cinematics. The gameplay is okay. Don't play ranked matches. It's just the worst player base of anywhere on the planet. But boy, I love their lore. They got great character design. The writing is just unbelievable. I recently even read the a couple of the novels. I love the novels. Oh, such good writing. Great characters, great world building. So we're going to be, as I said, getting into the beginning of the end. So I have not watched any of this stuff. I am months behind because of all of the wonderful things that's been going on between shows, Rocky Horror, conventions, life. Yes, I hold that knowledge. I hold the secret to life itself. I've watched too much Rocky Horror. I will not apologize. Anyway, so yes, we're going to be getting into that reaction content. So let's hop on over to our first video. All right, so here we are, ready for this reaction. I am super excited for this. Let's buckle in and see what Riot has in store. We have a couple of other ones we're going to react to after this, so keep checking back, YouTube, and see more of our reaction content. That's a pretty little tree. Oh, what do we got here? So that sakura tree, that cherry blossom, makes me think we're actually seeing oh my god, I can't remember the name of the continent. Ionia, because Ionia is the land of like cherry blossoms and this magical realm where the land itself is alive. And in the last cinematic, they were alluding that we're going to be going back to Ionia because that is where this new Darkin is that LeBlanc is after. It's really like, give me that like. It's like a memory. Ooh, that's a Darkin I'm willing to bet. What was that? That it? Okay. Well, that was a lot short. That was a way shorter than I was expecting. How long was that? Like a minute 10? All right. So we got this the sakura tree here. Definitely an Ionia. So, and we skipped the scrub here. So this like oozing black makes me think of what's it? What's it? Oh my god, words. I know comments on YouTube, you guys are going to just pound me on this one. Oh god, I can't remember his name. The demon that LeBlanc had trapped. It's giving me that oozing gooey stuff that we see in the trailers with that thing. Oh my god, I can't remember. how can I not remember his name? He's like a super important character, and now it's a thing on the map you have to deal with. Yeah, it's like it's overflowing. So then we get into this very like distorted like memory like sequence here. I'm not sure. Oh, let's see. Don't know what this is. Then we see this crown fall. Right? And then we see a crown that just drops over here. There it is. There's that crown. Don't recognize it. Alright. Then we like go back to this little memory. Like we see these guys standing before a throne. And this is giving me a lot of Darken vibes. I'm pretty sure those are Darken. Breaks. Yeah, and then you get this, like he's grabbing it. So the new character they've been teasing is a Darken that is a glaive. I think this is getting ready to introduce him, and I know that character trailer comes up soon. Alright, so yeah, that is that. Alright, so after this, we should really I know that NetCrit has probably already made a video, so because this video is only like 6 minutes long so far, we're going to watch NetCrit's reaction to this as well. Alright, so now, let's look at NetCrit's reaction on what we just watched. I'm pretty sure this is it. Otherwise, future me, cut this out and get to the right video and not be stupid. You dumb fox. Alright, so let's look at what NetCrit has to say.
I appreciate the reputation I have these days. I explain the lore and I keep Riot's MMO alive. I should be getting paid for this. But I do have to disappoint you, because as you can see, this video is not gonna have 30 minutes. But that's not because I couldn't do it. I could explain the entire history of the Darkin and everything that is connected to this. But I wanna save that for the end of the year, which is when we are going to explain the story of everything that happened in 2025.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be excited for that because NetCrit is like the keeper of the lore. He's not on Riot's payroll, but this man is so dedicated to the lore that I just love him. I just love him. I just love the guy. He's so great. He makes great videos.
Anyway, it seems like once again League of Legends pumped out a new cinematic. At least they call it a cinematic, but everyone can agree it kind of feels more like a teaser.
Yeah, I'd agree. I agree.
This cinematic is on the same level as the one that bridged the Noxian season and the Spirit Blossom season. You know, it's the short one where LeBlanc and Vladimir were talking about the glaive. And
okay, so here's the thing. So normally, like, historically speaking, Riot will put out like one giant cinematic that's like a 5 to 6 minute video that is absolutely killer. And that's what we get for the entirety of the year. But this year, they changed their process. Instead of one year-long season, they're doing 3 smaller seasons throughout the year. So at the beginning of the year, they gave us a really beautiful, gorgeous trailer, or cinematic. And then they've been giving us these like little like short like 1 to 2 minute ones in between these these mid-year seasons. And it looks like what we got really is just another one of those.
if Riot decides to do the exact same thing, then that means that this is not our final cinematic. It is likely we are gonna get more as we roll further into Season 3.
Yeah, we are getting more. I know this because, yeah, I'm recording this in November after everything's been coming out, and I've just been horrible at keeping up. Sorry, guys.
But if you look into the description of the cinematic, you can notice that not only does Season 3 in League of Legends start tomorrow, but also you can see that this cinematic was made by Fortiche once again.
And they've been going to Fortiche an awful lot. Like, a lot. They really have a good partnership with them. They used to do a lot of different, these cinematics was by a different studio every single time. But now they're doing a lot with Fortiche. They're leaning so heavily on Fortiche. And I'm not complaining. I love Fortiche's style. It's becoming like the art of the League of Legends universe.
So expect a lot of artistic stylization as well as a lot of attention to detail. In fact, that's why we are here. So let's dive into the beginning of the end, the Trials of Twilight. Now, before we even begin with the cinematic, yes, I understand that on frame 0 it is funny to already talk about lore, but the reason why this cinematic is called Trials of Twilight is because Twilight has always been related to the Darkin. First of all, it is the aspect of Twilight that sealed the first Darkin back in Shurima. And it is the same aspect of Twilight who taught mortals how to seal the Darkin inside their own weapons. Also, the story in which all of this was described was...
So, for those of you who don't know, the Darkin are these, like, god warriors that are, like, unbelievably powerful. And they kind of went on a rampage because they kind of went insane due to the Void. And they were sealed by people into weapons. Now, you don't want to deal with these things because each of the Darkin had their own weapon. And they were sealed into their weapons. Their souls trapped forever within. You don't want to be a wielder of one of their weapons because they pretty much just steal your body and just become, just take new form. And yeah, you just pretty much kind of cease to be. Kind of sucks.
Called the Twilight of the Gods. So in general, Twilight and the celestial magic are linked to the story of the Darkin. And so now, we can start with the first frames. The cinematic immediately starts with a room full of details. Yes, I know that this may look like a tree to you, but hang on. The tree symbolism has been around ever since Yunara's story was introduced in Season 2. A super quick catching up on the story. During the times of ancient Ionia, as the Darkin were rampaging around the world,
See, I told you it's Ionia.
Yunara was tasked with protecting the Temple of Koshin, which is where one of the Darkin were hidden. The plot twist being that this Darkin, whom is also sometimes referred to as the Patron, didn't necessarily seem like a bad guy. Also, they looked far more celestial than Darkin, and this could be because this Darkin possibly avoided the blood corruption that came from Zolani, which is what turned the Ascended into the bloody twisted monstrosities. Or it could be because the Temple of Koshin had special magic that could
It is also like the Spirit Realm shows the original forms of the Darkin. That is a good point. So, because the Darkin, what they look like after they became Darkin is not exactly what they were to begin with.
Press the Darkin. This is also being teased through the new upcoming skin for Xinjiao. We talked about that entire thing last time. In short, Yunara should have some kind of Darkin cleansing ability somewhere. Anyway, the point is, not only was the patron good enough to help Yunara fight all the other Darkin, but whenever Yunara communed with him, in the myths, the Darkin was always portrayed almost as a tree. This was also true in the original concept art for Yunara. But again, all of that is what the Darkin looks like in the myths that are passed down through generations. So in reality, as is shown here, the Darkin is just in a tree. In fact, if we zoom in, there he is. That is most likely...
There's the glaive. I mentioned the glaive. There she is. And I totally did not see that glaive in that tree before. Good. Something bothered me about that, but I didn't think about it. Now I see why. There's a glaive there. Just a glaive. Just a random glaive.
Likely the glaive in which the Darkin is sealed. What's even cooler is that you can see how the pommel, or the head, we're not sure which part that is, resembles the shape from the myths. Now, if you are asking why the glaive is stuck in a tree, well, the reasons could be many. Maybe it was just Fortitia's artistic decision, but there could also be a lot of lore behind this. Maybe this is a seedling of Omikayalan, the god willow of Ionia, which was a magical tree that would definitely have the power to suppress a Darkin. Or perhaps this is a branch of the Dreaming Tree, which was a child of Omikayalan, which is also the tree that is linked to all the dreams across Runeterra. If that's the case, then perhaps the tree was used to keep the Darkin sleeping?
So I don't know the story of the Dreaming Tree. This is going to be one we're going to have to look up elsewhere.
But more importantly, this is why the entire theme of the season could be dreams and nightmares. But enough talking about the tree. Another cool thing here is the room itself. First of all, it does kind of resemble the Temple of Pallas, which is where Varus was sealed, whom of course is a fellow Darkin. But more importantly, this place should be inside the temple which Yunara was protecting. This is the same temple that could be seen in the background everywhere this season. In fact, at the end of Xin Zhao's minigame, we could see Atakan just zipping past us in the background, and we learn...
Atakan! That's the name I was trying to think of earlier. Atakan, the black goo. I know it's not Atakan, that's the black goo we see in this trailer, but it reminds me so much of him. How did I forget the name Atakan? Mordekaiser's buddy.
That Yunara's temple was breached. It is not too hard to put two and two together and realize that LeBlanc indeed infiltrated the place. And that is why, in the following seconds, the goop comes in. Now, what's cool to see here is that throughout all the cinematics, Riot made sure that we connect the goop to Atakan. I mean,
See?
we all remember how Atakan gooped on LeBlanc's face.
he gooped. He gooped on her. I'm 12 years old.
The point of that scene was to actually make you remember that the goop is connected to him. And let me tell you, I guess that scene succeeded. And as the goop rushes in, we get to our first vision. It starts with a shot of the ooze splattered across the ground, and as the camera goes up, we get to see a silverwing raptor impaled on a grey stone. Which means this is definitely the vision of the fall of Demacia. Interestingly enough though, you can see that the silver...
So that's probably why I didn't recognize that. My Demacia lore is weak. I know a lot about Ionia, and I know a lot about Noxus. Those are my two of my two favorite places in all of Runeterra. Ionia is this magical land. It's very Asian coded, and the landscapes are absolutely gorgeous. Some of my favorite champions, some of my favorite lore comes from Ionia. And then you have Noxus, the land of war, where might makes right. Another set of great characters comes from there. My other favorite characters come from Noxus. And just some great stories from there. But Demacia, I hate Demacia. I hate that place. The lore, I mean, don't get me wrong, the lore is amazing, but the place itself of Demacia, I hate what they stand for. But I also never really got into it because none of my favorite champions are from Demacia. So I never really dug too deep into the Demacian lore, beyond general knowledge. But that's probably why I didn't recognize the silver fang here. It's because I just don't know Demacia lore.
Wing, as well as parts of the ground, are pierced with what seems to be bolts of petricite steel. These could be potentially...
Petricite is made from a tree that's from Demacia, that they learn how to combine with metal, and it is anti-magic. Demacia is the anti-magic people, and they make their buildings out of stuff that absorbs magic. They make weapons designed to kill magic users. They make armor out of petricite so it absorbs magic. And they poison a magic user with petricite, which is harmless to normal people. But if you have innate magic, yeah, it's a painful way of killing you. Demacia is not a good place.
Linked to the crossbows of the Demacian demon hunters, or they could come out of the Demacian ballistas, which would potentially normally be used against the dragons surrounding the nation. But here we can see that these weapons were used against their own people, which is our first clue that there was an entity that caused people to fight each other. Spoiler alert, that's what the Darkin have always done. They formed their own war hosts of mortals who worship them like gods. In fact, that was also teased in Yunara's lore. I mean, the Darkin Wars were literally just mortals worshipping the Darkin fighting each other. Anyway, then, as we zoom in a little bit further, we get covered in the feathers of the Silverwing, and again, we can see it died from the bolts. After which, we get into some really blurry visions, but if we pause at just the right moment, we can see all the blue Demacian banners, and we can also see the classic Petricite steel spears. Yes, one of these was also wielded by Xin Zhao, but more importantly, this is teasing that we are in the capital of Demacia. The peculiar thing here is that there are no signs of anything but Demacian weapons and armor. So again, it is likely that some of these Demacians fought each other. But what's even more peculiar
Not a great loss. Not a great loss.
is that all of the armor is empty. Outside of like 2 bodies found in the background, most of these are piles of metal. But after that, we get a shot of the Demacian crown falling from the stairs. At which point, some of you may say, that doesn't look like the crown of Jarvan.
Yeah, so, again, like I said, I didn't recognize the crown. Again, if it's Demacian, I'm not going to know it. I really ain't.
And that's because I don't think that's what this is supposed to resemble. The King of Demacia essentially has 2 headpieces. They have the normal crown, which is what this likely is, but then there is also the Dragon-slaying armor, which has a similar but slightly different headpiece. That one is only supposed to look like the crown. In fact, Arcane already showed us their own rendition of that headpiece.
I'm not going to lie, making this is on my to-do list.
So this is likely the ceremonial crown. As to why do we see it falling here, we'll see in a moment. First, the shot suddenly goes back to the tree, which is being covered in goop, after which we go back to Demacia and we can see 2 Darkins standing in the throne room. Of course, we know that these are the skins for Garen and Jarvan. And let me tell you, I really wish those skins had the colors shown in the cinematic. Anyway, this is where we have to mention the fact that these are likely visions that were given to Xin Zhao, with the one causing all of this, of course, being Atakan, driven by LeBlanc. So this is not real. But Xin Zhao, as well as us, technically, doesn't know if this is a vision of the future or if it is a nightmare that is supposed to push Xin Zhao into doing something. And because we are talking about LeBlanc here,
I say he's trying to push.
I think that's what's happening. LeBlanc
Even
is
he
likely
agrees.
giving Xin
Even
Zhao
he
these
agrees.
visions to manipulate him. Specifically, since at the end of their stories, Xin Zhao and Yunara were traveling towards the Patron, I think LeBlanc wants to give Xin a hatred towards the Darkin, so that once they get there, he would want to destroy the Patron. Or possibly, just like Yunara teamed up with him
Thank you,
before, he
Water
might
Lily.
want to wield the Patron's glaive to destroy the other Darkin. Remember, throughout this entire year, it was teased that LeBlanc wants Xin Zhao to be her host for the Darkin.
Yeah, so actually, he's forgetting something on this. We see LeBlanc and Vladimir talking, and Vladimir's like, "You lost your host anyway." So Xin Zhao was not supposed to be the original host that she was after. We don't know who the original host was. My theory, it's the guy that we see Katarina just straight murk in the first cinematic of the year. So that's what I think. Now she's focusing on Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao. No, I'm not watching the match reviews. That is something I will be doing off stream because that's just because I like watching those things. We're watching the cinematics. We're reacting to all the cinematics that I've missed over the last couple of months, and this is one of them.
Which means she wants him to pick up the glaive. And these visions definitely seem like a way for her to achieve that. And so, the reason why we can see Darkin corrupted Garen and Jarvan and the crown here is because Xin Zhao was always like an uncle to Jarvan IV. He taught him everything from combat to meditation. So to see a Darkin twist someone so close to him would be traumatizing. When it comes to Garen, well, Garen was always one of the leaders of the Dauntless Vanguard. So the chances are the two interacted before a lot, but none of the stories really gave us any details. So let's just assume the two are close.
It's okay. Garen's boring.
But more
I'm not going to apologize to Garen Mains. Not doing it.
importantly, since this story is technically happening before the story of the Mageseeker Rebellion, it means that King Jarvan III is still alive. On top of this, Xin Zhao swore on his life to keep him alive. So should the king die, he would technically break his oath. That's why we can see the crown shatter on the black goop. It is Atakan's nightmare specifically targeting Xin Zhao's past. After which, something unexpected happened. It is not Xin's hand that picks up the glaive, but instead it is Atakan. And of course, all of this is related to what we've seen on PvE.
So, Atakan is a demon who has had his demonic form melded with a human warrior that was friends with Mordekaiser back when he was alive. Which is why Atakan has a vaguely human hand that we sometimes see. It's the part of the body of the original guy that he was fused with. And, oh god, it is so creepy when we see it.
There we could see that Atakan's hand became a Darkin weapon, meaning that LeBlanc achieved something insane. She successfully combined a demon and a Darkin.
Oh, that sounds a horrible idea. LeBlanc, why would you do that?
I am not sure if we've seen a more powerful abomination in the lore, because normally when a Darkin is picked up by someone else, it is usually a mortal human being, not a powerful demon. Which, by the way, could be also why all the piles of armor are empty in that scene. A lot of the Darkin simply use blood magic to consume the mortals to improve their bodies. So maybe that's what's happening here. Anyway, after this, we get a couple of creepy zoom-ins on the eyes of Garen and Jarvan. I don't think there is supposed to be any big symbolism here. However, notice that the shape of their eyes is kinda close to LeBlanc in her weird shadowy form, which again could be teasing that all of this is the result of LeBlanc. But then, in one of the final shots, we zoom out and we can see a totally empty throne room of Demacia. Specifically, this is what the room is normally supposed to look like. Now,
Ooh, big difference. I always love seeing these like keep locations as a ruined version. And Demacia, totally worth it. Ruin the place. Don't like it.
here, what's most important is that Atakan is looming over the throne. Now,
Oh, I
if you
didn't
connect
see him up
everything
there.
that happened here, previously we saw Atakan grab onto the glaive above the tree. So perhaps the vision that is being given to Xin Zhao turned the room with the tree and the Darkin into the Demacian throne room in his head. Again, maybe that's what's gonna trigger Xin Zhao into fighting all the other people present. But then in the fake Demacian throne room, in the background we can see one of the heads of the Colossi, which could be just a Demacian statue, but in the Mageseeker game we learned that the Mageseekers did some crazy experiments with this and they turned them into animated weapons. So this could be a cool reference to the Mageseeker game. Then of course there is Garen and Jarvan in the front. Again, they are likely here to spark Xin Zhao's hatred towards the Darkin. And finally, a subtle detail is that you can see LeBlanc's eyes hovering over the entire scene, teasing
Oh,
that
yeah.
she's been behind all of this from the very beginning. And that is when Yasuo wakes up. Which is what a lot of people thought for some reason. But nope, of course, this is not Yasuo. He's clean shaved. And yes, this is Fortitia's rendition of Xin Zhao himself. Which is where it was revealed that all of this was a vision or a nightmare that was caused by LeBlanc. But more importantly for us, this is a teaser for what is to come in Season 3. And I mean, we do already have some hints as to what's gonna be happening. We did get a mission image where we saw that Xin Zhao is likely gonna fight Atakan, as should be obvious by now, but that's kinda all we got for now. And so once again, we got an amazing cinematic, which is continuing Riot's great streak of handling the lore.
Yeah, they've been putting out so much lore this year. It is ridiculous. I'm not complaining. Keep giving it to me. Give me all of the lore. The CGC lore.
Yes, after quite a bit of a downfall, the lore is resolving in a really cool way now. And I hope Riot sticks to this format, and I hope they stick with Fortiche. Because so far, Fortiche has been delivering nothing but bangers, and more importantly, they managed to fix Riot's biggest flaw. Somehow, they actually beat the same face syndrome.
Yeah, Riot's had that issue in the past. But man, that was gorgeous. And that was beginning of the end. The new cinematic, the little short mini one. Absolutely gorgeous. Love it. I love to see Fortiche. Love seeing Fortiche's work. Absolutely amazing. And thanks to Necrit. Oh, excuse me. And thanks to Necrit for another amazing video breakdown. That man scours this the new videos for so minor details that like nobody ever sees. Like he's just, oh my god, whenever there's a new map, he literally will go into the game files and look for every little thing he can find. That man is like the lore hunter galore. Thank you so much, Necrit. I love your videos. Keep them coming. And that will finish this video. So I will see you lovely foxes in the next video. Bye.